I think he did himself no favors in the process, but I do think at worst he's a second round talent.
Yeah.
And I feel that a team should have taken him, including the Saints. I think Pittsburgh should have taken him. I think a number of teams should have taken him, but they didn't. And my point is once you kind of get past the second round, now you're not drafting a guy to be your future starter necessarily. You're just bringing in a guy and see if there's anything there.
And you're saying for whatever reason.
For whatever reason. Just historically, when you're taking quarterbacks beyond the third round, and there are organizations that will draft a quarterback every year. If they don't take a high when they went in the later rounds, you just bring a guy in, see if we got anything. And I think teams do that. But once you get past, for me, the second round with Shedeur, that's what teams are looking at. Like they're looking at players going, well, we're not drafting a future starter. We're just drafting a guy to let's see if we got anything. Now, do we want that particular guy to be the biggest talking point of our team for the next 6 months? And I think the answer for a lot of teams was no.
The talk of the week, what has really, been really interesting, man, is the Shedeur Sanders piece over in Cleveland, because up until this point, you hear about all of the quarterback stats in the training camps, and you're hearing about Shedeur still fourth string. He's not working with the first stringers yet, and all of that stuff. And man, a lot of NFL fans, whether they're Cleveland Brown or just supporters of Deion Sanders and Shedeur, all of that stuff, man, they really feel like he's being sabotaged. Like, because when you look at And one thing about the camp stats, and I've talked to a couple of people, especially a couple of people we have had on the show who has been a part of training camps and all of that stuff, and it's really hard to hang your hat on these training camp stats because there's different settings. And they put them all together. There's 11 on 11, then there's actual offense versus defense. Then sometimes he's going against the fourth string team. Sometimes he's going against second string. And then you got Flacco who's only going against the first string. So it's hard to compare.
Yeah, for sure. And that's what I was curious too. Like, are those stats, 11v11 live action, or is it a hybrid of 7-on-7 stuff?
It's everything. It's every single throw that they've taken in training camp. Thus far. So.
I understand. I understand the notion he's being sabotaged. It seems very weird. I also kind of think that a lot of what we're dealing with literally highlights why he was a tough selection for a lot of teams. Because since the day he's gotten drafted through today, he's been the number one story on that team. And again, let's just not say sabotage, but he doesn't appear to be on track to be a starter, and this person is the number one story on your team.
Yeah, I understand that. I understand you're just, you're talking about it, from that standpoint.
Yeah.
But I don't understand. I find it hard to understand the why of it all. Like for example, whenever someone says that, what you just says, I'll automatically think of my boy Tebow. Right?
Yeah, for sure.
But the difference is Shedeur appears to be a better throwing quarterback and a better prospect at this point in time in their careers. So, who gives a shit if he's, whatever, the talk of the town, if he's your number one or number two, if he's your number one quarterback on your roster?
For sure.
Like teams passed up on him, like the New Orleans Saints passed up on him. When there's still a lot of NFL scouts that don't believe that guy is better than Shedeur.
Yeah.
So for just to not take a guy because he's going to draw so much attention, I just think it's hogwash. So it either has to be the NFL and these teams, they looked at the tape and all of that stuff and just said, hey, Shedeur is not, whatever, worth a top 4 round pick, or he really screwed himself in that draft selection process that I talked about for a couple of seconds, and I'm leaning towards that.
I think he did himself no favors in the process, but I do think at worst he's a second round talent.
Yeah.
And I feel that a team should have taken him, including the Saints. I think Pittsburgh should have taken him. I think a number of teams should have taken him, but they didn't. And my point is once you kind of get past the second round, now you're not drafting a guy to be your future starter necessarily. You're just bringing in a guy and see if there's anything there.
And you're saying for whatever reason.
For whatever reason. Just historically, when you're taking quarterbacks beyond the third round, and there are organizations that will draft a quarterback every year. If they don't take a high one, they one in the later rounds. You just bring a guy in, see if we got anything. And I think teams do that. But once you get past, for me, the second round with Shedeur, that's what teams are looking at. Like they're looking at players going, well, we're not drafting a future starter. We're just drafting a guy to let's see if we got anything. Now, do we want that particular guy to be the biggest talking point of our team for the next 6 months? And I think the answer for a lot of teams was no. And I think that's why you had a certain slide with him. And I'm not saying it's merit-based, but that's what I think happened to a degree. But it's like doubly bad for Cleveland, who took a quarterback in an earlier round, and you've got these two guys. Yeah, there's no scenario for me that you draft two quarterbacks in the same draft, because NFL reps are limited to begin with. Your resources of development are somewhat limited, and you're trying to do that with two guys at the same stage. It's just unfair to both guys. Period. I don't think it's just a right development environment for either guy. I think it was a stupid pick.
It really is, but then you look at it and like, if they don't take him, does he get picked at all?
Like, may not have.
Like, you know what I mean? Does he get picked at all? So it's like, you on one hand, and because that is a part of the sabotage argument. It's like, yeah, they took him, and now he has to share all these reps with a guy that he's better than, that was drafted before him, and then no one believes in our boy, what's his name, Kenny, or what was his name?
Kenny Pickett.
Nobody believes in him. And then, and everybody knows Flacco is just here for a cup of coffee to hold time. And so that is a part of the sabotage argument. But my thing is, because I don't believe he's being sabotaged, number one. Because my thing is the Browns did him a favor, like saving face. Because if the Browns don't take him, he might go undrafted. And then it's a point of, because I don't believe in the Deion thing, the Deion Sanders piece of it. Oh, they don't like that's not it. The league loves Deion. If Deion wants to coach in the NFL tomorrow, he'll be a coach in the NFL tomorrow, like whatever capacity. He's not like a hated guy or whatever, a racist thing. That doesn't have anything to do with it. I think that a guy with a second round grade on him came to the draft and like he was King Tut and didn't want to do this, not going to do that, telling teams, oh, I'm not interviewing here. That's like NFL's like, what? Wait, wait, I got something for you.
Yeah.
Now, I guess if you want to say that's sabotage, but I say he sabotaged himself at that point.
Yeah, no, well, I mean, I think there's a couple different there's what transpired in the draft, and I think I agree with you in how that went. He probably just presented poorly, rubbed some teams the wrong way. Next thing you know, you're free falling, and then like I said, once you get into that third round, teams aren't looking at you as a future quarterback. You're just a speculative pick. And I think that's why teams were not wanting to have what Cleveland has in this thing where, what other team have we heard comprehensive quarterback stats among all available quarterbacks?
I don't think I ever have.
In my life.
I don't think I ever have. Not training camp quarterback.
That's what I'm saying. Like this is crazy the way this is being done.
And they're keeping up with it like every single
But I don't believe, but the next part is, okay, now you're a Brown, now your team is like, I don't think there's like a sabotage going on. I just think it's a messy quarterback situation. Mismanagement. Yeah. More like negligence than intentional sabotage.
Bingo.
Is the way I would characterize it. But yeah, you got two guys with the same level of no experience trying to carve out reps, and if you're a Dylan Gabriel guy, this has not been good for him.
No,
you're trying to get in and earn your teammates' respect. And again, like the other day, Myles Garrett was in front of a microphone answering questions about Shedeur, and he's doing the political answers. Nice guy, good guy, works hard, blah blah blah. But like, why should Myles Garrett be, in a optimal circumstance, why is he answering questions about the third or fourth team quarterback?
Yeah, so you're saying like, other teams didn't want to put themselves in their star.
They could see this at some point in the draft. If you didn't love Shedeur and want to take him high, then you're looking at this going, do I want that?
Yeah.
You know, another interesting guy, and it kind of was like a little bit of this similar story as Quinn Ewers in Miami. I think he went in the 7th round.
Yeah.
But that's a guy that went into his last year of college football as a potential Heisman candidate, a presumptive first-round pick, a guy that being the top pick wasn't outside the realm of possibility. He had a high school grade higher than Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah.
And here's a guy that ends up in the 7th round. Again, I caught a little note. Seems like he's impressing in Dolphins camp. The guy's not talentless, but again, nobody felt confident enough about him to take him first or second round where you're really drafting a future quarterback. He goes late to Miami, and again, because he's Quinn Ewers and not Shedeur Sanders, not much talk. Nobody's
not at all. Not at all.
Surrounding Miami camp asking Quinn Ewers questions.
No. He's in a good situation because
for sure,
Tua, he doesn't have long. And but on Shedeur now you get this opportunity because of injuries. They actually had to add a 5th quarterback, a 6th, I guess technically.
Which again, becomes a story only in Cleveland.
Yeah.
If any other team in the league needs to add a veteran arm for the preseason because of
it's just hum ho. It's just whatever.
Just see it in transactions.
Yeah,
that's it.
Now, this it's unfortunate to say it like this. But this is kind of it. This is kind of his moment, because when you look at it as, okay, you have the injuries, right? And so this is going to propel him to start. Flacco wasn't going to play anyway because he's the presumable starter.
Yeah.
They don't play in these first initial preseason games. Alrighty, and then Gabriel and Kenny, they're dealing with these hamstring injuries. So he's going to play the majority of the first half, maybe some of the third, and then you're going to get the other guy to come in and finish the game. Like,
I'll say this.
Yeah.
If Cleveland wanted to do him a favor, they don't start him. They let Joe play 1 or 2 series and surrender it to. But because he's starting, this is already the story 2-3 days in advance of the game. All eyes are going to be locked on him.
Yeah.
If he struggles, he's going to be dismissed as, we knew he shouldn't have been drafted at all. If he plays great, it's important for him to play great. It's almost too important for him to play great. Because then that revives the, everybody made a mistake. This guy's the real deal. But if he doesn't play great, it's a problem.
It's a problem. And that's the reason for me bringing it up. It's almost too important. Now, when you take a step back and look, he should perform rather well because he's going to be going up against, second and third stringers. They're not going to, the Carolina Panthers, they're not going to put out any of their starters on defense really for the most part. So you're looking at he should do well, but we'll see, man. We'll see. But I do want him to do well because not only are you doing this to try to joggle in the Browns camp, but this is also your tape for other teams. For
sure
for other teams because there are going to be other injuries. There's going to be other quarterbacks who disappoint and whatever, and for them they can bring you over to their team. If they need.
And low key, like teams are not in the business of keeping 4 quarterbacks.
They're just not. One of them are going to get cut.
Somebody of those 4 guys is going to get cut
or traded for an additional whatever late round asset.
Yeah. So that's really the thing. You feel it's probably going to be Pickett, just because he's a known quantity.
If the 2 rookies show any life at all,
right,
Pickett will just get released or get cut.
Yeah.
Now depending on, that's the thing. Yeah. I think that's the way it goes. But if they struggle, if both rookies really struggle, I think Shedeur would be the one that probably get the axe
for sure. Just because of the pick.
Yeah.
Like, we invested a 3rd round pick in this guy. We invested a 4th and 5th in you.
Yeah.
It's kind of what Hassani was saying with the his journey with the Magic.
Politics. Yeah.
There's a deeper investment in Dylan Gabriel at this point, and it's almost a bigger loss of face if they have to let him go.
Yeah.